Hey everyone, welcome back to episode 7. So I'm here recording, busy day, and so if I don't get through all that I plan to get through, I'll bring it up in the next podcast and that. So I'm going. It's a bit of tonight. Ran into a few problems, with the sheep, so little minor things, but it delayed everything. So if I'm running, getting tired, and I don't get through all I want to do, I was going to say thank you very much and call it a night. So first things first, I want to say thank you very much to everyone who's downloaded the podcast episodes and listened on YouTube and looked at our videos and done all that, and everyone who has helped me with the polls on Instagram. That it does give great conversation, and it is great that people do it. So the reason why under a bit of pressure this evening was Ivane was playing a football match, and I said, right, I'll go to the match. So I checked the sheep before we left. That was grand. Everything was grand, no bother enough. And normally in the afternoon they're on a particular field in the day, and I let them back onto the lambing field. But I said this evening, no, do you know what? Leave them where they are, and then tomorrow I won't take them off the other field. So it'll give the other field a day to clean up, because they're on the lambing field at night time mostly. So that's right. I'll go over after when I come back from the match. I went over after I come back from the match. And lo and behold, do you think them yows will walk off that field? No. They stood looking at the gate. So I went up there and I rattled the bucket, and eventually they came out for the bucket of cobs. And down in the far corner, there was little lamb. Now, tiny, and like he's definitely maybe 2 weeks too early. So that held up. Had to go get him home, beasting some, get him under a light, feed her, feed lamb. So it just delayed things a little bit. So it was look, it's part of lambing, it's what happens, and sure, look, he's alive, and that really the main thing. So coming up today's podcast, little chat about hopefully about commercial ewes, horned ewes. If you were to start a pedigree flock, uh, what would it be? Buying online, uh, lambing, hoggets, Dorset Lammers, TikTok Live, and a football show. And you notice in this, if you're watching YouTube, I'm looking down a little bit sometimes now. I have a lot of notes, and I can't memorize them all off. So I will be looking down to just to know that I have gone through them and do it as best I can. So where I'm going to start? Well, I'm going to start with TikTok Live. Over the lambing, I've done a few YouTube lives, but I nobody watching it, so I didn't do any more. So I said, right, sure, I'm on TikTok, so I said, right, I'll do a few TikTok lives. And what I used to do then at night time, in the morning or at night time when I was doing them, and I said, right, sure, I do them watching it and do it, and should be grand. So the first night I done it was a yow lambed, job was so no problems. And then every other night after that, there was a clatter from used to lamb when I was live. I ended up that I had to stop doing it, because you'd walk through the fields as I'd walk over and walk back, and you'd know if a yow had lambed in this paddock or that paddock, and you'd be checking them. But by the time you get over to the far yows, even though we'd have checked them an hour beforehand, there would be 2 new ones would have lambed. And when you come back down to the first field, there could be another 2 or 3 would be lambing as you were live. And so I ended up, I just had to do them because there's too many owls lambing at 10, 11 o'clock at night. Once I stopped doing it, then they stopped lambing, so grand. But it was funny because Ivane joined me on the TikTok live. We were watching United match. United were crap as usual, but I do watch United stand, and I do listen to him when he's watching the match and all that. And Ivane was always he's shite and he's this and he's that and the other. Now you can't listen to him, you can't be talking to him. And no, he wrecks my head now. The South Brand. Well, you want to see her on the TikTok live and watching the match. for the first, I'd say 75 minutes, she was gross. Then the last 15 minutes, she was getting tired. But man, she was no different here, man. She was giving it socks, and it was funny. And she was alive with herself because people were commenting and we were doing it, and she was enjoying it, but she wasn't fully keeping an eye on the comments. And she was watching the match, and she got really engrossed into it. She got really excited, so it was good to do, like, but it was funny with her. So since then we've done TikTok lives a little bit during the day when we're fixing up sheep and bits and pieces as well. And I suppose the idea is that it gives people an opportunity to see what you're doing and having a chat and find out things. As the subscribers grow on YouTube and things like that, I will be doing them on YouTube as well. As I said before, we're doing the sheep sale watch alongs and all that. And I've done some of the sheep sale watch alongs on TikTok, but look, it's just no point in trying to be on every platform. You just kind of do bits and pieces where people are watching you do it, like, so it's good, like, it's nice. It's nice to do something different too. So recently I was at a football shop and I was about to start the football championship and a chat like this, few bits and pieces. And there was three lads there and I listened to them on the YouTube, 3J lads and Kerry Dublin, the Mead man, and it was good, like, but what I was watching with them was they were interacting with one another, and you could see that they have crack with one another, and it's really, really nice to see, like, because listen to these people on the shows, and you're like, God, do they really talk to one another, or do they get on? But no, you could see that these really get on and have good crack with one another, good bond between them, and listen to them with the new rules and all that. And then the next day, our local team was playing. I said, sure, go watch the match. And the new rules made no difference to the match, the club team match, because in the first half, I'd never been on Switch before, but in the first half, they were playing up the hill. They were playing down the hill, so I should say, lads were. In the second half, playing up it. But when they were playing down the hill, the others were coming, the others were doing well up the hill. But in the second half, when the lads were playing up the hill, the other team was playing down the hill. The referee was running with his hand up every time the home team attacked. It was an advantage. So he gave them every chance. Like, the lads won, but they must have missed. Others missed maybe 4 2-point scores from frees that had to go hanging them that won them again. But, like, the rules made no difference because the referee was playing for the home team. I just thought to myself, like, he wasn't a bad referee, but he was very finicky and he was one-sided. Like, you could see he was a hometown referee. The new rules don't change the thing at club level. They don't change the issues at grassroots levels. And one of the things I would see with the GA is that we've created 2 games, an inter-county game and a club game. And I think the GA is going to have to decide at some stage, somewhere along the line, are the inter-county teams going to be professional and a different game to the club game, because you cannot have club players starting training in January and playing right up till October. That's the crap we used to do 20 years ago when I was playing. You'd be back training the 1st of February, you'd play a match every 2 weeks, championship would come, and then you'd be still playing October, November. Now the lads are, like, in Wicklow, they're playing the first league match was in February or something like that. Why? It's a split season. I thought the idea of a split season was to help the club player. How was helping the club player playing in starting the league in February and not finishing championship till September, October? Like, that's not football. Like, that's just not giving enjoyment to players, and maybe 6 weeks between the league and championship. Play it on. Like, let the players play, like. But no, that's a bit of, I know it's off an attention with football, like, but I suppose it's important that people have their say in the GA, like, and like, it's a great organisation, but inter-county club football, sure, it's I don't think they're not linked anymore. I think it's a different game, and there's too much expectations on club players now. That's just my take on it. So we're going to talk about buying online products. So a week or two ago, we ordered a bottle of medicine online, and I can't remember. Say the price was $2.50, and so there was no delivery free or anything like that. So just ordered online. Just happened to be online that day. It's not a company I use. Never thought about using them before. Never heard about them. And I said, right, sure, just do it, bang, do it, and it'll be here within a couple of days. It was there in a couple of days, no problem. That was when I was ready for it. It was here, and just saved me going to the vets. Went to the vets a few days later, a year after ago, when the bottle was nearly been emptied, and I got a bottle of the same stuff. It was €25 less in the vets than it was online. Now, my understanding with it online was, are you not meant to make? Is it not? I know it's like more accessible, but it's the idea you're not meant to make these things cheaper. And as I said, this is not a company I normally use. It's not. It's just it was a once-off thing, and definitely from now on I won't be using that company because on one product, €25. If I'd have got the two bottles that I was supposed to get, that'd have been €50. I'd have been down. Like €50 doesn't go very far now, but it's still €50 in my pocket, and of the lambs that you'll be selling next September, that could be 50 cents off of their price. And every 50 cent off the price counts, because I think people looking at the price of sheep now, and there's a local butcher, and he's kind of irritating me a little bit because he's on TikTok and he's talking about the price of lamb, the price of lamb, the price of lamb. Lamb is not expensive. Lamb is making its money. What's expensive is the inputs of the things we're buying. Like, as I say, that product was €25 dear online. We got 3 bottles of stuff in the vets, and it was over €700. They were all necessity products. You have to get them. That's a fair wad of money there just to go to hand over. Like, and it wasn't the first time we had to get the Heptafact P in that. I just said to myself, like, it's ridiculous. But he's on TikTok, the local butcher, talking about the price of lamb and telling people lamb this, which we're only just about getting what we need to get. Like, the lamb is at €200 now. Really, that lamb should be 220, 230, 240. Like, I know it sounds a lot, and I know it's people going, which is the price. Look at the price of everything else. Look at the price of what you're putting into it. Like, it's just, to me, when I seen the difference in the prices and then listened to the local butcher on TikTok, I just said to myself, the price of lamb, yeah, it's good. The price is good. The price you're putting into it is just as good, and I mean very much just as good. So, couple of little things. Our Dorset Lammers, we have a video up on YouTube about our Dorset Lammers in February there. They were using them basically to clean off the grass, clean off fields. So the lambs themselves are being put to the pin of the collar, and the ewes are being put to the pin of the collar. Lambs are on meal, but the video's there, just check it out because it might interest some people. We went with lambs to the factory today. Our first of our pre-Christmas lambs. There should have been more of them to go, but it was 3. And I brought 2 our ewes. Now, the 2 our ewes I brought have been on meal for the last 2 weeks. So the reason I brought them was because I wanted to see how they work out. I know what would get for them in the mart. So I want to see what I get for them in the factory and see, is the price difference still the same. And that's basically what I wanted to see. So I done it before. I think there was €8 on the difference in the market was better. So I just wanted to double check. It's only 2 ewes and only 3 lambs to go. So I said I might as well go the one way with them, and no point in not, Then coming up on YouTube, we have a video for Heptafact and Hoggets. Hoggets had a few setbacks, so if you're interested in seeing a replacement Hoggets, they'll be on YouTube fairly soon. And look at their They're doing okay now, but they got the setbacks, two setbacks in the one spring and one in the autumn, and you have to give them their due. We'll keep going with them. You know what I mean? So the lambing. Well, the good thing about the lambing was it's still going, which is not a good thing. Uh, that's the best way to 70% of our yows lambed in just around the 2 week mark. The last 30% have been an absolute snorefest. So, did we lose lambs? Yes. Did we lose yows? Yes. Did we have a few lambert problems? Yes. Did we have little issues? Yes. Two things that worked really well were the paddocks, and I mean the paddock system worked to a T. Couldn't have worked any better. But I'll talk about that in another time because I think that needs more of a chat. The other thing was Ivane, bringing her to the field during the day or when she's after school and all that wasn't not feasible every day, like because she's only 10 and she's football and she's boxing and rugby on. So I said, you know what, she'd kill me now. She'd find out about this, but I said, right, I do is when you hour two lambs, I says I'll bring them back to the shed and she'll feed them in the shed. So normally when the owls lamb in the field, I put them down into the paddock. But when they were lambing in the other field, I throw two of them into the trailer, bring them home to the shed. She'd bed the pens, give them a handful of nuts, give them a handful of hay, have everything right for them. So at one stage, all the lambing pens were full, and there was a few yows and lambs up around the sheds and bits and pieces like that. Put a lamb on a yow and all that, and lads, every morning, every evening for 4 and a half school, she'd feed them, feed the pet lambs. But she never copped that I was purposely bringing them home for her to feed rather than me having to feed them in the field because I had nothing to feed. So if a lamb needed a bottle of milk for a day or an evening, I'd bring it home and get a bottle of milk. She'd feed the yow, and it left things really easy. And like if she thought I was doing it for that reason, she'd give out to me. But it was good for her to be able to do it, and rather than me dragging her to the field, running around after lambs, there was a few days even she did come with me and she did like the lamb in the field, but you have to draw the line that she's only 10, she needs the lambing and then she needs to get away from it because when she was off school, she'd give me a hand with the hepavacapine and the lambs, and she'd done a few batches with me, and we good out crack doing it like with a bit of an old mess, and it was enjoyable. But I suppose, as I was explaining to her, what we're doing now with them doing Hepatitis B is different to what myself and father used to do when I was her age, because back then, father used to wait till the owls had lambed, nearly all lambed before he'd start doing them. So we were doing much bigger lambs, much bigger lambs, and it was kind of a case of every day, day after day, you're fixing up these lambs, and a lot of work in it. Now I know he was lambing more yows, but every day then for ages you were catching lambs, head back being doing the Scabivax tails, bits and pieces like that, and it kind of left. To be honest, it was a good bit of work, and like I was catching all the lambs, it didn't really matter a whole lot. But now the way we kind of do it is, as I get a few yows and lambs together, our particular batch that are either being moved off or between that are being kept together in their bundles, I'll do them bundles. I suppose it is a little bit harder in the sense that you're doing them while you're lambing. So how would you describe it? It's not, if you wait till after lambing, yeah, it'd probably be easier. But doing when I kind of want to get some of them out of the way, get them done. And at least then, what these are done, they're done. And it just gets to the end of the job, because when you're back to work and all that, you don't want the hassle of them getting in loads of lambs. It'll be hard enough to do them all again in a few months, in a month's time, to have to feed them again. when they're older. But and Elaine kind of was happy to be doing the smaller lambs with me rather than doing the bigger lambs because she loves catching small lambs. They're easier for her to catch, where the bigger lambs it's a lot harder. And like to give her due, she is. I said to her all the way we used to. She said, "Daddy's just, I give it a go." But I don't want to put her under that pressure yet. Like it's you have to, as I say, you have to give the kids a chance, and give them their due. But one little thing, and I'll probably come over this again, that was a pain in the arse was where we lamb the ewes. There's two gates that I go through. One gate I go through every day, maybe twice a day. And there's one gate I go through, I could go through 10 times a day. And not once of that gate that I could go through 10 times a day is a hanging. And all the gates that I hanged and all the work I've done getting ready for the lambing, I never thought of hanging that gate. And it's probably the way that pain enough for the quad and trailer to go through it. So that's the first job next year is to widen that gate. Well, I'm not going to widen it so that just the quad can go through it. I'll widen so I can get the tractor through as well because I should have had it done. And it'll be going on the list of things to do in October, which is a list that's getting way longer. Because every time I walk around the lambs, I look at the ditch and go, oh yeah, I need to do that, I need to do that, I need to do that. Not all of it's going to get done. Not a chance. Unless someone volunteers to do it for me. But it's, just the list of jobs just seems to get longer. So we'll cut them down and prioritise them and see where we go. Because, money will dictate too as well. But it's then the second gate is a gate I put up for going through the lambing. And it's not hanging either. And it's not a permanent gate, but next year it will be a permanent gate and I will have it hanging because I'm not going through this gate all the time. I don't have it hanging because it's just too much of a pain in the arse and it's a good heavy gate, but it would be a lot simpler if it was hanging. As where the singles was lambing and the way we had it was we're going the fields that we're going to be keeping from mowing, it'll be on the edge of them, so it might when there's no wire there, it looks stupid in the middle of the field. But when the wire's there, it'll make sense the way it's there. But it's just for basically the field that we're going to mow, sing his lamb on it, and we're eating it off at the moment. And as you guys go through it so many times, the gate needs to be hanging. So I suppose that's a little bit of progress. We're up to at the moment. We're one field kept up for mowing, and the next day or two now we'll have the next field keep up. There's not much grass on them. They're green. They did get fertilizer, but I've been feeding the twins on the two batches and purposely feed them, clean off all the dirt, but get an extra bit of dung onto it, and to give the ground they're going to the extra week of growth, so that when they go to it, I'm finished mealing them, done with meal, and the lambs are hardy. Can go down, all go down to one batch, and they should be alright then on that ground for a few weeks, because I have another field kept up for them then to come up off of that. So hopefully we're a bit earlier than normal, but the plan for them two fields is to get them kept up for the silage and to try and get two cuts off them this year. Never done it before. I've never tried to do it before. So we're going to give it a shot. So the plan will be to cut the field regardless of what's on it, because I kind of want a bit of quality too. We cut the field there in early June, so say just for argument's sake, the second week of June, so or the end of June, wherever second week of June into the middle, so say, and then we mow it. Say mow it on a Monday morning, and it'll be baled on Tuesday morning. First thing, won't be touched. So then we'll have middle of July, middle of August, start of September, we'll mow it again. Then the plan will be to get the dung out, get half ton bag granulated lime on it, and get the dung out onto it and get a bit of body into it and let it rest up for the winter, because that's something that I didn't do last year enough of. I hadn't the fields kept up, all the fields kept up early enough. Some of them were, some of them weren't, but I hadn't them all kept up early enough, and that's how I will have to get on top of that this year. So now we're on to our sheep and me notes. So we see how this goes. So on Instagram, I asked the question, what was the best commercial yaw? So what I done was I gave 4 options. Mule, Suffolk Cross Cheviot, Hilltex, another. And so I was expecting the mule to landslide. It genuinely was. I thought this would be landslide for mule. And to my surprise, the mule got 30% of the votes. Now, I was expecting the mule to get maybe 60%. Suffolk Cross Cheviot got 37%. Hilltex got 9%. And other got 24%. Now, other, nobody left the message and said what other was. But I was surprised that the mule didn't win it. And it'll be interesting to see if I do it again later on to see what will happen. But definitely, I thought the mule would have got at least 50% of the vote. I thought the Suffolk Cheviot then would have been at 20%, and the others would have been at a couple of percent. But there was, 500-600 people seen the story. And but they all didn't vote, so everyone would have a different opinion. My opinion on what would be the best commercial yaw, well, I think what speaks for itself is there's an awful lot of Suffolk Ram breeders and pedigree breeders are using the mule yaw to put their breeder lambs off it. So I think that answers your question. For me, now we've never had the Hilltex. Suffolk Cross Cheviot, I would class them as a yaw, a very good yaw. But the difference in them and the mule is 2 things. If you're rearing the lambs yourself, the first maybe week or 10 days of their life, they're not as good as the mule lamb. That's the first thing. They're not as easy minded or easy lamb, particularly in our system where you're lambing outside. They could be a bit slower getting up and going. I've seen them being it. And the second thing is the mule will put more milk into the lamb. For whatever way her milk is made, she does. But also, you have a wider choice of rams to put with the mule. And what I mean by that is, if you put a Suffolk ram back to the Suffolk Cross Cheviot, you'll have this black-faced lamb, and he will be slow to get up. Big, powerful lamb, absolutely monster of a lamb, but he will not be a fast mover. Where you put the mule to the Suffolk, mightn't be as fast as other breeds on the mule, but would be a good lamb, would get up and go. But, and I have 2 of them kept yaw lambs this year, replacements out of the mule, so it'll be interesting to see how they work. But that's just my kicker. I would have thought that the mule would have been landslided. My preference would be that the mule would, for rare lambs, cropping, all that. I think she's slightly ahead. I wouldn't have her massively ahead, but I would think if you're breeding your own, I would think the mule would probably just sneak it. Just from the sheep that we've had down the years, and and that's just my observation on it. But as I say, the Suffolk Cheviot won the poll, so maybe we'll do it again and see what happens. Then I had preferred horn yaw, and again, now I had 2 pages. So in the 2 pages, because it only lets you put up 4 on the poll, I had on the first page I had Lanark, Swaledale, Mayo, and Perth type. And then on the second page I had Scotch. I had 2 breeds crossed. I had Blackface, and I had other. Now, on the first page, anyone that's listening, I'd say they're saying, well, the Lanark won that. And probably the other breeds are all fairly tight. You'd be wrong. The Lanark won it at 33%. The Mayo came second at 32%. The Swaledale third at 23%, and the Perth type at 14%. And there was 111 people voting on that. Now, second page, the Scotch came in at 23%. Two breeds crossed came in at 29%. Blackface came in at 36%, and then other came in at 12%. And there was 78 votes in that. Now I knew that wouldn't have as many votes, but two breeds crossed is kind of is what someone said. Someone said to me afterwards was, if you have a quarter male and a quarter Lanark, you'll have a seriously hardy yow, good shoulders and good mother. And that was just a message from someone that said to me, and they said that's what their opinion of it was. Now, if you're going breeding mules or you're going breeding rams and stuff like that, each breed and all would be good. My own preference, I have to say, the Swaledale would be my preference, even though I haven't gotten back out of her for breeding or stock and all that. The Swaledale yow, compared to the yows that we have or the crossbreeds that we have, I prefer the Swaledale yow. I am looking forward to how the Swaledale out of the Mayo yows do with us for breeding the mules over the next few years, because some of our hog jows were bred that way this year, and then we have more yow lambs coming through that way this year as well. So it'll be interesting to see. And so I thought, like as I say, I thought the Lanark would have romped it, but didn't. And I can understand, because there's a lot of people have a lot of time for the Mayo yow, and it's just interesting to see that the people all have different opinions, and and then I got the message as well. So it's nice that you get that interaction and a bit of backfeed, and like, I suppose as food for thought for yourself, because like, to me the way it sounds is that the Mayo's making a comeback. Personally, I've never had the Scotch. I only have one or two of them at home, and wouldn't be a fan of them. I have to say, but for hill yows up in the mountains, I'm sure there'll be nothing wrong with them, But I have to say now, the Swale yow, I do like her. Wouldn't be that fond of the Lanark, but the Lanark is just not. It's not quite. They're a lovely looking yow. I love the look of them. I think they're deadly looking, but I wouldn't like to have them breeding, because I just find our swales that they're just their personality is class. And then the few males we have that we bought this year, they're still lambing, and what's good is good, and what's a nuisance is 100% a nuisance. They how would you describe it? They didn't eat the meal, some of them, and wouldn't eat it. And there's one lad I'm rearing in the field, Tiny Tim's his name, and he comes against his bottle 3 times a day, and she comes down, and she will come within 4 or 5 feet of me, and she won't go into the shed anymore. But she's starting to eat a bit of ration now in the field, and she's rearing and better. Like, no, she's an old job, so you're not going to complain over her. But it's mad. If that was a Swaledale yow, she'd be standing beside me. She'd be with me all the time out. So it's interesting. So like, and things, I'm going to keep these polls going, different questions, and it's food for thought for different people, because you could be in an area and you might see a type of yow. You might say, I might get that type of yow, but they mightn't suit you, or you mightn't have the place to sell them. So it is something that was asked, and I just said, yo, let's see what would happen with it. So as I say, there will be more polls coming. So now, this is the big one that I asked. So I said, if you were to start a pedigree flock, which breed would you start with? If you already have one, you're welcome to say what you think as well. So the first thing I got back was Jacob, easy to catch. Now, The Jacobs, they're a good sheep, there's nothing wrong with them, but they're a breed that hasn't took off, and they're very specific to people that have them, in the sense that the people that have them love them, the people that don't have them don't seem to really want them. So I don't see them as a breed that's going to take off big time. But I suppose if you're someone that has a small little bit of ground, they are a nice breed to have around because they are unique. Definitely are unique. Then another person said to me, Dorset lamb, 3 crops in 2 years, and which is correct, which would be good. Then another person just wrote in Hampshire Down. Again, they're a breed that are good breed, and always on any of the chagas things you get about the sheep breeds and all that kills out in faction, they always get perform really well. The only place I ever see them much is in Meath, County Meath, and I don't really see them much around the rest of the country. Where the Dorset mightn't be as popular yet, but there's an awful lot of people that have messaged me in the last 2 weeks, or surely 3 people have messaged me and they said on the Mayo Horns and on the that they're running the Dorset Ram on them, and as I said, they're getting great lambs, absolutely powerful lambs. So that's a market then straight away for the Dorset Rams, which is it's good to hear. Like, then you have the Blue Texel, easy lambing, fast growing, and friendly nature. And again, I wouldn't know much about the Blue Texel, but I would imagine they are a nice sheep. They look a nice sheep. Now, I did get told before that if you run a Blue Texel and a Mule Yow or on Suffolk Cross Yow, you get great factory lambs. So I would imagine that is something similar. Then the next thing was pedigree Texels. Again, very similar, easy managed, good sheep, good mothers, and again I would agree with that. I think there's no reason why it wouldn't be, but I suppose, and we're going to come into it afterwards. If you're new into breeding the Texels, how much do the societies help you get going? And I think it's going to come up in a few minutes, but I think that's the key to any of these breeds are getting into them. And then another one I had was the Roundwood Cheviot, which again I would agree with, but again depends on what part of the country you're in and your markets. And then I have got a message was a breed that has a well-run established society with ram lambs that are good trade. Now, they didn't say which breed that they were talking about, but I presume that's more of a committee-based thing and what they'd be thinking of. So again, I'm not sure until you're in the group would you know about that, but it is something that is done. Lanark's better for the hill. Now, I'm pretty sure any of the pedigree Lanark boys that are breeding the top end rams. Do you think their ram lambs are up on the hill or the rams up on the hill all winter? I wouldn't think so. So yes, in general, the Lanarks are a good hill sheep, but I wouldn't be basing a pedigree flock on running them up on the mountains, because um, I'd have to take a bit of convincing that they are on rough terrain over the winter. You know, years ago maybe, but nowadays I think the pedigree boys are looking after the Lanarks as well as any Suffolk breeder or any lowland breeder. Because there's just their breed is going really well. Charolais, hardy, fast growing, breeding for farmers, not for shows and sales. Now that's a very interesting one, because I wouldn't have them down as a hardy breed, in the sense that I think their first 2-3 weeks that they're born, and you couldn't land them outside, or you would have restrictions on them. Now, I would have them down as a very good breed for growers and all that, nice sheep. But it was interesting, the person said for farmers, not for shows and sales. So that person obviously has identified that they can have clients they can get that are farmers, come to the house and buy a few rams off them. So they might have a price range of the rams that's not too dear, but again, obviously not giving them away for nothing. So there's a set perimeters would be the word to have, and are working within them perimeters and doing quite well, which is good. Which is good to hear somebody doing. And then we have two last things, which kind of opposites of what the other ones have been. One person said they wouldn't get into it as the input is far too high with no guaranteed of success, and you would need other stock. So I think what the person was saying is that, like, if you were to get into pedigree breeding, I suppose, look, I was at the pedigree sale for the Suffolks this year. Cheapest yow lamb in it was €600. That's a fair investment for a yow lamb. Again, that may not produce nothing to you. So that's the cheapest one. And if you go down the route of paying €1,000 for yow lamb or 1,500 for in-lamb yows, how much are you going to get back out of it? And it is a very good thing, because you might only be able to get into one or two of them a year. You probably will need some other stock for your grass and all that. So, which would be more important? So, it's good to see the other side of a person saying a different opinion of it as well. Another person then came back to me and said, there's too many in Ireland. Need to focus on the quality, and also the time factor is a big thing. Who your target market is, and not easy for new in a society. And that's what I was saying earlier. How good are societies to put new breeders, to pull in new breeders and look after them and keep them in? Is it the case that in a lot of these breeding societies where you're brought in, maybe not promised some moon stars, but definitely helped and nurtured? Or are you brought in, yeah, you do your own thing, we'll keep doing everything? And I know for a fact, I'm not going to name the society, there was a guy, he only has, I think this chap only has maybe 20 or 25 sheep, and he got into a certain pedigree breed. And as he said to me, they didn't know much about the breed at the time or the ins and outs of it, so they wanted to learn. Now, he's a chap that would message me every few weeks, but he's a really nice, genuine chap, really interested in stock. And again, look, he doesn't have big numbers, but he's learning it, and he wants to do it right. He said he went to a breed, one of the top breeders in the society, and went down to have a chat about sheep and to see how things were running, what he needed to do, what he needed to know. So he said he walked in through the person's gate with, say, 10% knowledge as a breed of what he was to do and how he was to do, and he left with 10%. The person showed him nothing. This person's been breeding these stock for a long time. They're one of the top breeders in it, but they gave no help. And I think that's kind of sickened him a little bit, because he likes the breed. It's, it's what they have, and they like to have their commercial yows as well. I think they lamb in February, but he's good. He's good, he's good yows. He's good ground to put them on. Like, he's not under pressure for ground. But here was a chap that was willing to invest a couple of thousand in September into the breed, and a couple of thousand the next September into buying yows, and he just was fobbed away, like, I think it comes back then to the other point, is there's too many northern breeding. Well, is there a market for all these? Like, sheep numbers are probably dropping, so do we need more rams, or do we need more yows? What is the plan like? And the thing is, target market. So that chap that I was talking about, his target market will be the same as the other person, direct to the farmer. Someone who comes in, they'll have their target figures to figure out, and they'll get in and go through it. So, it's just it's interesting to see what people's opinions on things are, and have a different outlook at it. And holy moly, we've done nearly 45 minutes of this. I didn't think I would have lasted as long as this. That's deadly. So look, as I say, the polls are coming on Instagram. They're going to be coming all summer, hopefully. thank you very much to everyone that has helped them. Thank you very much to everybody who's downloading the podcast. It's getting great downloads on Spotify. It's surpassing anything that I ever thought it was going to do. And so it is a big thank you to everyone. And also, if you are one of the people that downloads it and you listen every week or you listen once, tell your friends. More importantly, if you have a question you want to ask or you want to tell me something, send us a message. And if I can bring it up here and have a chat about it and get other people to have a chat about it, well, that's what we'll do. Because it's important to have the sheep chat. It's good. It's good for the soul. Particularly now when everyone's lambing and nearly lambing and the weather's been so good. It's been unreal. It's great. So listen, I'm going to leave it at that, and I will chat to you again very, very soon. And again, thank you very much.